So thanks so much, Shuang, for being here for the first episode of just me sitting down with some friends, catching up and seeing what exciting, awesome things that they've been up to.
Very excited to be here. We talk a lot about making content together, so I'm happy that we're finally taking the plunge. Hit me with the questions.
All right, hitting you with the questions. So I guess maybe we can just kind of start back on how we actually met. We've known each other for a long time. I was thinking about it. It's been over 10 years, I want to say, and somehow our paths have always been parallel to each other.
Yes. Career-wise, we have always been intertwined. I think I really have a clear memory of when we first met. It was, you were on rotation and our manager at the time, Tony, brought you to my cubicle to introduce you. Mm-hmm. That was the first memory. And then I think I ran into you in the washroom another time. And then we also met again at the breakfast, and I had henna on my hands, and we bonded over that. So I have 3 distinct first memories. And then in addition to that, we both wore almost a same outfit at the time, which is the bright blue with black skinny jeans.
Oh my God.
That was very much of the era.
Yeah,
so
black skinny jeans all day.
Those were the early memories. But yeah, how about you?
I also have a very distinct memory. I think we went out for lunch with our team, the broader team, the pricing team, and this was before we had started working on the same team. And we went for lunch, and I met you there, and I remember you were wearing this pashmina scarf, which had turquoisey type of colors in it. Do you remember that scarf?
Yes, it was black with the blue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And I just remember thinking oh, she looks really smart and very well put together, which I don't think I was way off, but there's definitely so much more to you than just that, which I kind of learned over the years.
Crumbling behind the scenes, but yeah.
How would you say was kind of our time working together in that first position?
Yeah, I think it's funny because people have these really dramatic tales of people competing against each other or your first job nightmares.
Yeah.
I think we had a really cool dynamic where we were able to work together, and then we were also able to have a friendship. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just hey, hi at the coffee or lunch place, but it was a friendship that was beyond work, quote unquote.
No, I absolutely agree. And I guess from there, we moved to a different company.
Well, you moved first,
right?
And then I followed you quickly.
You followed, and then I follow you later. But this step you followed. Yeah, so we worked at Bell, and then we both decided we're a little too edgy, and we decided to move to Virgin Mobile.
I feel anybody who was relatively young wanted to move to Virgin because it was the cooler brand.
Yeah.
It had the downtown office. Everyone seemed to be just creative. The office seemed more fun. There was a ping pong table.
The walls were red.
Yes. There was better coffee selection. All the fluffy stuff that we as young
all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, for sure.
I personally really enjoyed just going out for lunch and eating together and exploring new coffee shops, which I give all credit to you because you've introduced me to so many coffee shops and restaurants across Toronto. So that's been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I think my coworker love language is finding a new place and not telling you guys what it was.
Yeah.
And then inserting a calendar invite without the location, and then I'm bringing you to the new place and just be guys, what do you think about this cafe? So
yeah, and I'm always impressed by your ability to find new things.
I think thinking back, this will hopefully be a dot that we will tie into my story later, but the finding of new businesses and being very fascinated about new businesses is the initial seed of what I do now.
Right.
And at that time it was just I just wanted our work day to be a little bit more fun. Mm-hmm. Even if we're getting a coffee, I just this is something new.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. No, I absolutely agree. We talked about how natural and easy it was for us to kind of become friends, and that was the core relationship that we'd built. And then shortly after you coming to Virgin, that dynamic changed a little bit as I became your boss.
Yes, a little bit. I feel if it was anyone else, it would have been maybe a more difficult thing to navigate. I also remember when the manager we had at the time was leaving, and we were are you gonna go and apply, and are we gonna be in that space where we were competing for the role? And I was girl, I have a plan to exit. But I don't think, if anyone looking at the situation, they would be a little bit worried because this could be a turning point of a relationship.
Friendship, for sure. Yeah,
relationship, friendship. I don't think, again, it was not dramatic, and it was very seamless because we both knew what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And also, I think we're both someone who wants to like make sure we get our shit done and do a good job, and then we want to like enjoy our lives, chase other passions.
Yeah, and I feel like for anyone when that dynamic changes, like if you're put in that position where your friend becomes your boss or you become your friend's boss, it can either go really well or it can go really bad. But I think what worked for us was just the foundation of trust in our friendship that we already had and we kind of built over the years. So it was a fairly easy transition. You know, there's always like those more formal, like let's say performance reviews that can be a little bit more uncomfortable because you don't naturally have those conversations with your friend. But I think both of us kind of understood this is work, and we kind of kept it like that. Okay, so that happened, and then shortly after you left me.
Yes.
And you moved over to Shopify. So tell me about that, what you're doing now.
Yes. So you first left for Version, and then I was like, it's my turn to leave. I guess like what's interesting at the time, which might have been a little scary for most people, was I didn't get a full-time offer. I was doing a dramatic career pivot. So I was leaving for a contract that was an internship, that didn't have health benefits, that didn't have shares, that didn't have a pension like our old job did. So it was a little scary, but the dots along the way was that I really enjoyed storytelling. I always kept a blog. I always took photos. I was one of those kids in university who had a radio show on campus. So I really enjoyed all of the creative aspect of life and was dreaming that if one day I can just do this as a job, that would have been great. Obviously, the internship wasn't promising all of that, but it was, they were starting a media team within Shopify, and they were looking for interns. So it was kind of a bet on myself to hopefully get myself in the door and just like start a new chapter where I wasn't looking at Excel or data sets every day and actually was working to be a creative.
I love that. Yeah. And I think like betting on yourself is the big takeaway here. Like sometimes you have to give up the comfy cushion salary and benefits to take that leap of faith. And I'm sure you have absolutely no regrets about that decision from back then.
Yeah, I don't think I was that scared making it, but I mean, within tech, there's always a lot of change. The scary part came, I remember like the first day when I was sitting down at my desk and I had to write and be creative during the day, which was a very weird challenge for yourself because I never wrote in front of people and I never wrote in an office setting. So I was like, I don't know how to do this with a time crunch in front of people, and I had to like deliver. So that was like more of like a mental challenge for myself.
That's interesting. Yeah. And then I guess like even going from let's say a telco, but specifically a more analytical, like numbers heavy role to a more creative role, how did you actually go about finding the right fit and the right job and the right role for yourself?
Yeah, I think one part I forgot to mention is while we were at Version, I did a fellowship. So I was working full-time and doing the part-time school.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though I was writing on my own, doing volunteer like radio jobs, which you also saw me do once. So yeah, I found a journalism fellowship at University of Toronto that I applied for and got into. So it allowed me to work full-time, still do the school part-time. So it built like a good foundation for me to understand like the basics of journalism, writing, interviewing, podcasting, all that stuff. And throughout that experience, I was able to like build a pretty good portfolio with national, international like media outlets. So that helped when I was applying to things. And I remember applying to like unpaid internships at newspapers or media outlets and like making it to the final round, and they'll be like, oh, sorry, we went with somebody else, you are not selected. And it took a good year and a half of like, I have folders of rejection applications and emails. Yeah, it takes a long time. You don't know why some employers don't want you, and it's okay. Eventually someone will. And I think ultimately the fit really aligned because, again, I was fascinated with businesses. I was always writing about people doing interesting things, like someone who makes chocolate, someone who is growing crickets in the garage, and I didn't know what the common thread was. And then looking back, I was like, oh, they were all starting a business, and which parlay perfectly into Shopify because right now I interview and write about business owners. So yeah, you could only make sense of your life when you're like looking backwards at it. But yeah, at the time I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and hopefully something.
You're just kind of going with the flow and then seeing what works, what doesn't. But yeah, that's actually a very good point. Like in hindsight, you have been doing like storytelling specifically of people who are, you know, creating things or like in, you know, having a business for many years, even well before Shopify. So it definitely felt like the right natural fit for you. And then, okay, so moving on from your internship, then how has your role progressed since then?
Yeah, so I then eventually got a full-time position as a writer on what is the content marketing team, and then slowly changed the role as I was in it, and now I'm within the team that makes the podcast at Shopify. So it's like a lot of fun, and it's the medium that I love the most, and probably the medium that I first got into storytelling, my campus radio in university. So it's kind of a full circle moment where I was like, oh, I just wish I was interviewing and chatting with people for a living. So, and here we are.
I guess shortly after that, I decided to this time I'm going to follow you.
Yes. Yes.
So I left Virgin and then I joined Shopify. We didn't really work super closely at Shopify ever really, I think because we were in different teams, but it was kind of nice to come back to at least the same company and see each other kind of in the halls and get coffees. And, you know, the coffees at Shopify were on a different level because, you know, with the coffees, you get the snacks and you get the food. So
yeah, it's also nice just to like have someone that you have so much history with, like a comfort Slack.
Yeah, it was definitely nice. Like when you're starting a new company, and all we had known, I feel like before Shopify was the Bell and Virgin Mobile family. So coming into a completely new company and a very different industry, it was a big change even for me, but it was nice having at least one familiar face there. Yeah. So I'm curious to know, Shuang, I'm obviously not working right now since I'm on maternity leave, but what does a day in the life for you look like right now?
Yes. So it's kind of a cycle. So there's days where it's more admin and research, and I'm dealing with finding new merchants and business owners to interview, getting them approved by legal, listening to old recordings, giving editing notes, like looking at blog posts our producers have written and editing them. So that might be like a more administrative day. There are days where we do have an interview. I try to place them a few hours like after I've eaten. I've learned a lot from my lead. He's actually like from a very stellar journalism background. So his advice is like, because when you're digesting, your like voice changes. So yeah,
I literally ate a giant bowl of oatmeal right before this.
Totally fine. We're not doing an audio only recording. So yeah, so be a little strategic with where we place the recording, make sure everybody is free, our engineer, our producer. Then there's meeting days where there's like team meetings or like meetings one-on-one that we try to like put in one day so that it's more productive and effective. And then I would say that those are kind of the different days. It really depends on like what I have going on. Outside of work, I'm like a crazy city lady. I love walking around the city. I'm also doing improv comedy, so I do that once a week. Other than that, that's like, I feel like those are the two major things.
I love that. Yeah. And what got you into improv?
Because
that I feel like also takes guts. I would be very nervous to do improv.
I thought so. Well, yes, I feel like people think that way. It's actually super welcoming. It's not intimidating once you get to the class because everybody's new to it. I started it in 2022, like winter, because I just wanted to make winter more fun. And it was something that allowed me to like get out of the house and just like do something that was very different from my day-to-day. So
cool. Well, it's great to see that you're doing something that's out of your comfort zone as well, with improv, and something completely different from what you're doing at work. Do you have any like maybe advice or tips for people looking to get into content creation in any organization, but like maybe tech more specifically?
Yes. There's very different like streams for the content team. You can be very technical and you could just be someone who optimizes our website. You could be an SEO, so search engine optimization. That also kind of links up with content as well. You can be an editor if you're like really into grammar and structure and all that stuff. You can be in video if you love filming and editing and storytelling that medium. So there's multiple ways. I think the best way is, one, realizing which avenue you like, and two, just find any opportunity that you can. For me, it started really early when I was in school. Again, content marketing is still not taught in school. It's like, you know, you open your marketing textbook, it's barely mentioned right now. So just find something that you like and it will blossom into a career as you move along, and the dots will make more sense after. Like, you know, when I was interested in that radio program, I didn't know that a content marketing job existed. I just wanted to chat with some friends on the radio. But yeah. So.
Would you say it would be helpful then to, like, because it's not potentially taught in a more academic sense, to maybe just kind of experiment in your own personal time with different types of content creation, see what you even like, and then build up your kind of portfolio, I guess, through that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the next generation don't need any more motivation. I feel like so much talent exists within social media. So yeah, I know that it's intimidating to start, and maybe you don't want to be in front of the camera or you don't want to be in social media, but there's other forms and you can tell stories in different ways. You can still be traditional and like go to journalism school if that's what you want. You can record audio clips and create a podcast if that's what you want. A lot of the times you just need a phone, which is what we're recording with today. I think the biggest thing is just to start, experiment, and see which part you find the most interest in, and just keep on diving deeper into that.
Amazing. Love that. So what would you say is sort of next on your radar? Any thoughts for 2023, what you're thinking about?
Yeah, I think I'm going back to basics a little bit, because my day-to-day is creating stuff in front of a screen. I'm listening, editing, or, you know, there's a lot of screen time. I'm actually trying to separate away from content creation in that way. I'm going back to the roots and just like writing more, pen to paper, reading more, screen time less. Because yeah, like I'm constantly producing every day, and in my mind I think I also need a period of fueling up. So I need a period where I'm getting inspiration, be it from books or otherwise, and that's how you get more inspiration and fuel up so that you can create more. So
I love that. Yeah, back to basics. Love that. Well, I have some rapid fire questions for you, Shuang.
Yes.
So let's get into it. You ready?
Yes.
Favorite coffee shop in Toronto?
It changes all the time, but I brought you to my favorite coffee shop currently, which is Beatrice Society.
Love that place.
Yeah, very cute setting, has a split level. Baristas are really nice.
Super friendly, yeah. Awesome. Favorite city or country you've ever visited? I feel like this is going to be a hard one for you because you've traveled a lot.
Yeah, I could say like current favorite city, probably London, because that was my most recent trip. Favorite country, probably still Singapore. I did one of my exchanges there, and it's just like a cute, tiny, tropical, very diverse, very interesting country.
Love that. Content piece that you're most proud of? It could be on any medium.
I think because it was my first, that's why I'm so proud of it. When I was still doing that journalism fellowship, I got to make a radio piece for CBC, which is our Canadian national broadcaster, and it was the gentleman who grows crickets in his garage. And like I remember contacting him, getting him to agree to like let me into his cricket farm, holding my little recorder to record all the cricket sounds, and then like the editor giving me so many notes to be like, you need to interview a professor and someone who's opposed to this view and a chef who uses the cricket. So that 5-minute radio piece I took like a month to make, and my narration, like you could hear how nervous I am in the recording too, but yeah, it was my first like big win. So
Love that. Definitely a memorable one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ideal first date?
I feel like people overcomplicate it. I think the ideal scenario is very simple. You grab a coffee, you walk around, like not sitting talking like a job interview, like actually walk around and just talk and get to know each other. I think it's just like simple as best.
Favorite podcast or book that you're consuming?
Oh, currently it's the Huberman Lab. It's a neuroscientist based in Stanford. He has a lab there. He just makes science really approachable, and I love listening to it.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, last rapid fire question. Song that's been on repeat for you lately?
Ooh, the last one that was stuck in my head is by this artist called Flory. She's based in the UK, so I was listening to it while I was in the UK, and it's called Streetlights. Yeah, very cute song about like her really liking somebody. So yeah.
Awesome. I will check it out.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Oh, yes. I am Shuang Esther, together, Schwangster, on all of the social platforms.
Love that. I will make sure to link that wherever this gets posted.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I think that wraps it up. Thanks so much for being here, Shuang. I had a really great time catching up with you.
Oh, thank you. Very excited.